My new book, Facts That Aren't True, is out now. Don't forget about my other book, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. Click the link in the description now.
Entropy is the disturbance or disorder of the things. So if the table is managed, everything, and if you throw it away or something, so there are very few chance that automatically it will be arranged in that way. There are very less probability that automatically it can be arranged. There must be some force or something which might apply to arrange that table in order again. So, and that is, I think, as you all might also know, that with the time entropy increases. So, and I don't need to mention the numbers in the
I'm not
precision
entirely
of
sure
this
that
universe.
you understand the statement that you're making. So the idea of entropy increasing comes from thermodynamics.
Yes.
And so, like the entropy in a closed system always goes from a state of from order to disorder, because that's how heat transfer works, right? So but that's in a closed system. We don't live in a closed system.
So you mean that this entropy law does not apply to the universe? This is what are you saying?
Not the way you're
because it is not a closed system, right?
We don't know 100%. So I think Justin was thinking about like Earth, but Earth is part of the universe, which is a grander system. Now, is the universe an open system or a closed system? We actually don't know that. Now, before a few decades, like before I was born, it would have been very tempting and very reasonable to say that it is. However, we now know that dark energy exists, and we don't know the source of it. So it may be energy from outside the universe as we understand it, which is odd. Or it may just be a property of space-time itself, but it's actually, we don't actually know.
Yeah.
But so how would this point to God?
Yeah, okay. Because this points to God is that if the entropy is increasing and the universe is, as we know, is 13.8 billion years old, although given the current facts. So with that, we see now over the solar system at least, how the Earth works, and the precision in the numbers, in the distance and everything. And for all that, as we all know, that it requires exact accuracy and efficiency.
Eric,
so
I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here, because like I had to learn a little bit of thermodynamics, and I want to make sure that we're not talking about thermodynamics, because in thermodynamics, that's not what the law actually states. It doesn't state that entropy is going to constantly increase. It just says that the entropy can't decrease.
Yeah, it's a hard concept. It can actually be formulated in many different ways. And what Time Traveler was saying earlier is that if you take a system, the rearrangement of particles or whatever in the system, it's just mathematically unfeasible that it will return to a prior state, which is an accurate, different way to talk about entropy. And then later on, but the most recent thing here is Time Traveler. It really sounded like you completely shifted to fine tuning or something, because you said we know about things that will happen in the future to an extremely high precision, and that points to God. So I guess I'm kind of curious. I think we need to still see where this is going, but like hopefully we can land the plane on that.
Yes, exactly. You use the right word. This is fine tuning. As we now know that in the world or in the solar system where we exist, this is really fine tuned. I don't have the numbers exactly to mention. I can collect the data, but
that's
fine tuned mean the accuracy of the movement. Accuracy of the movement of the Earth, or revolution, or the distance, or the distance from the sun.
Listen, we know the talking points. We're asking you fine-tuned for what, right? So we know the fine-tuning talking point. We know the entropy talking point. We've heard it 100 times. We're trying to kind of move through the conversation without having to belabor every point. I need to bring a deck of playing cards up with me to demonstrate the problem with the fine-tuning argument, which is that just because something is in a particular order that is, exceedingly rare doesn't mean that there was a cause behind it. It's only significant if you meant to do it. If I said I'm going to throw down 52 cards and then they're going to be in this order, if they show up in that order, that is impossible. That's fine tuning. But if I just throw down a deck of cards and say, well, the fact that it's in this order means that it's fine tuned, well, that obviously wouldn't work. It's just random. It just happens to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of problems with fine tuning. I mean, an observer can't observe the universe and not conclude that it's conducive for observation. That's the puddle problem, or the anthropic principle, as we call it. But there are lots and lots of other problems with fine tuning.
Right.
Time Traveler, are you still there?
I think he's still talking. He doesn't know he's muted. I don't know if he spends a lot of time on TikTok. I don't think he knows what's happening.
Maybe not.
Em, welcome in, my friend.
I'm listening, but my point was, if universe is the result of the Big Bang, then is the kind of blast. Then the universe in which we are living should not be in well fine-tuned, should not be in precise because of entropy.
Right.
Because entropy it will not result in so precision.
I don't think you heard what we just said about fine tuning. Fine tuning. The fine tuning argument is a presuppositional argument. It presupposes that the universe has an endpoint in mind, like it has a goal in mind. But that presupposes a goal setter. You'd have to demonstrate that there was a goal setter before you can presuppose that there's a goal.
The goal is the existence of life here.
Right, that's a presupposition. That's what I'm saying. You're saying the universe has a goal to create life. That is a presupposition about the universe, but you have to substantiate that. And you can't just claim it.
Entropy, a system having entropy and fine-tuning don't contradict, because entropy is just like a measure of disorder. It's not a measure of physical constants. And if those physical constants are fine-tuned, then they would be fine-tuned for entropy. And whether the universe is formed or the result of a Big Bang or whatever, or the result of God, we still have entropy and we still have fine-tuning. So I don't understand how it could possibly, like, if you're saying we can't have entropy and fine-tuning, fine, but we live in a universe with both of those things. And you're trying to tell us that God fixes this, but the contradiction still exists if God exists, because what you're trying to sell us on is you can't have entropy and fine tuning. So is it your argument that there actually is no entropy?
That is my point. Yeah, that is my point. Or maybe
that there is no entropy.
Okay.
Is your argument that there is no entropy in the universe?
No, my argument is there is entropy, and in the presence of entropy, this would not have been possible. So that's why there is a force behind it, which we can name it God.
No, it would literally just be the laws of nature, because the reason we have entropy is completely described by the laws of physics. That's why we even know that it exists on a quantitative level. It's understandable at an intuitive level, because you look around and, well, why does my floor never sweep itself? I always have to be the one that does it. And that's how I know God doesn't exist, because God wouldn't do that to me. But I forgot what I was
What do
going
you
to say now,
think?
but go ahead.
Where does the laws come from? Laws of nature which govern the universe.
Well, I think that's a misconception of
think
how the word law works. There's not like a law that the universe is like checking and say, oh, well, there's a law in the book, I have to obey it. Like this,
The forces,
but that's the way
gravity,
that's the way the
weak
universe
forces,
behaves. That's the way
yeah,
the universe behaves. We call them
yeah.
laws. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
it's it's
Okay,
descriptive, not
we can
prescriptive.
Right.
Laws are.
name anything, law or anything, but we know that there are certain defined things which the nature will not violate, which nature do not violate.
Well,
For example, gravity or the other stuffs.
but you're assuming
Ye-
that it's following a law. Like it can't violate
Yeah,
the law because it's following the law, but that you've got it backwards.
yeah,
The law is just
yeah,
a description of the way it behaves. It's not like
yeah,
obeying anything.
yeah. So that means universe has a specific behavior. So let's name it like that.
I agree. The
So
universe
every
has a behavior.
bodies in the universe have a behavior, and
Right.
then they don't tend to violate that behavior.
I know they're
That
called.
means,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's why we
that
call
means
them laws.
somebody has tuned them to do like
No, it
this.
does not.
Nothing can do automatically, but or if they would not have been a specific tune, then something should have doing one thing and other thing should have been doing anything.
You're
If
making
there is a
two
raw
different bad
everything,
arguments at the same time. Like you're trying to go from the uniformity of nature to fine tuning, and you kind of have to pick one, right? So the fine tuning argument, it didn't go so well. Like you can't substantiate that the mind that would instantiate like the goal of the universe exists, right? So fine tuning hasn't been substantiated yet, which means you can't use fine tuning to substantiate your next argument.
no, my next argument was not the fine tuning.
I
This
know,
was the laws of nature that where
right?
they come from,
I'm aware,
which
but
govern
you're
the
suggesting that
universe.
the laws of nature are a product of the fine tuning, and you haven't even substantiated the fine tuning argument yet.
Entropy might be one part of those laws of nature which govern the universe.
It's not. It's just a description of the way the universe behaves. That's it.
So science, what we know is just how the things works. We are
Yeah.
trying to find how the things works,
Yep.
but we don't know anything how or where have they come from.
They don't come from
That is where
anything.
God comes in.
They're
Yeah.
eternal.
So how can you prove? Do you have a proof? You don't know.
Actually, I
Just
think Occam's
mentioning it's
razor is actually the most
it's
likely way to solve this problem, right? So we've got two possible realities. One reality is everything around us that we can see, that we know for sure exists. Everything around us has existed in some form or another forever. The other possibility is that there's a sky fairy that created all of it that we have no evidence for. I think one of those two theories has far more assumptions built in than the other theory.
You're also, I
but
mean, you're stating that we don't know why the laws of the universe are the way they are as evidence that a God exists. But we have no priors, we have no evidence of the God. You're invoking it in this fallacious way that we typically call an argument from incredulity.
yes, it's not the evidence. It's just the interpretation or the understanding that because the universe works like this, the reason source we don't know. So that's why there is some. This is just like the computing. If we build a computer as a human and we live inside the computer system, then we observe, okay, here are the wires and here these are going on, here how the current is flowing, but we don't know who has created this. Yeah. So we are inside that computer system, so we can just observe how the system
universe is
here
a
is
computer.
working.
Is that what
So,
you're saying?
but we definitely
Yeah.
know that somebody has
So
created it.
time
Without
traveler.
we don't
creation,
know.
I'm
this
having
computer would
this-
not have existed.
I'm having
You're
a
begging the question really badly. You're
Right.
you're invoking a simulation that is known to have had something that created the simulation, and saying the people in the simulation know it came from somewhere, therefore we know that there's the simulator or whatever. No, they don't know that. And so they can't invoke it from anywhere, from any evidence within the system. So what you're actually just begging the question in this, in the way you framed it here.
That's why we also cannot give the proof or solid or 100% evidence that God has created this simulation, because we are inside
agree.
that space and time,
right.
Yep, we
and
agree.
He's
But we-
outside this.
But we can't make a probabilistic argument because we're talking about something that's fundamentally unknowable.
Yeah, and it's also true that even if, like, let's theoretically say that we could determine that we were in a simulation, that still wouldn't lead you to a god. It could very well be likely that we're being simulated by a
Simulated.
higher form of life that
Yeah.
evolved before us.
Yeah, simulator. That means the creator, and whoever
Well,
that is,
we'll try
we
this
can
again
name that
because
God. He
there's-
can be higher.
Because it's almost like you didn't hear anything I said. So what I said was, even if we were in a simulation, which you certainly couldn't substantiate, it doesn't actually necessitate a god. It could be possible that there are higher forms of life in the universe that created the simulation that we're in. It's just another naturalistic phenomenon. Like, you don't have to invoke a creator. But time traveler is having a little trouble tracking some of the arguments. I'm curious to know what country he's from. Do you detect the country of the accent?
He's Pakistani. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They said
I'm
they were a
from
Muslim.
Germany. Okay, can you
Okay.
listen me now?
Is there a reason why, like, you believe in a specific god, yet you're arguing for a nebulous god? Why is that?
I'm not believing in specific. I believe in any entity
Wait.
who has created
But aren't you
us
Muslim?
as a humans. Yes, who
Right,
has
okay.
created us
So-
as human
but
and
my-
this universe.
So my point is
That's
that
it.
you actually believe in a specific god, but you're laying down an argument for a nebulous god that really doesn't really have any definitive properties. So I'm actually really curious to know if you have an argument for your specific god.
Yes, and I hear also many times this TikTok live from you and also others, Dr. Bliss, for example, and they say that if the God is all good and all doing, then why the people here are dying, and why earthquakes takes place, and why a lot of
I'm
bad
sorry.
things happen.
Did I make that argument?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
But
Are you
others
talking to me
do.
or are you talking to Dr. Blitz right now?
Justin, you might want to see this, by the way.
I'm talking
what's
to
going
because
on
you
there?
were asking for a specific God, so
you
that
explain
what
me?
attributes does
hold,
he
hold
have?
on, Em. Let me see if I can
Okay,
make
okay.
this bigger. I can expand you on the screen, but nobody on YouTube can read it. What's it say?
So this is from chapter 68 of the Quran. This is the interpretation of Ibn Kathir. It says what? The Noon is the great whale that is laying on the ocean, on the back of which is the earth.
So the Earth is on a whale?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Classic Earth.
Wait,
And this is
this
why he doesn't
was
want to talk about his God.
Yeah. What
whoever
about that?
shared this.
This is why I actually ask these questions, because like every time I get a Muslim apologist up here, they never actually want to talk about their specific God. They want to like talk about this nondescript God and then pretend like they can smuggle in their God after that. But like,
No,
why are
we
you ashamed of
believe
your
that-
God?
No. You are taking, you are interpreting in your own way. I didn't say that. I am just saying that whoever created this earth or planet or humans, he is, I can name it as a God. Yeah?
Right. Yeah.
Whether he is higher
what's the
being
name of
or
the
he is
God?
higher other beings, other or thing, whoever created these all universes,
And what's
and
the
us,
name of the
he
God?
is God. And the name of God is God. You can name, there are many, you can name it anything. There is one entity who had created everything, that is God. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In your religion, what's the name
You
of
can
God?
name it anything. We can name it God. We can name it, in Arabic, it is called Allah.
He's running
In
so
many
hard
languages,
from his own religion. I just asked you a very easy question. In your religion, what's the name of God? It's Allah, right?
yeah. In
Cool.
Arabic
And
language, it is Allah.
yeah, I
It's
know. We all
not in
know.
every language. So in
We
every
all
language, they
know
have their
what you
own name,
believe. You don't have
but
to
that
explain
is
it.
one entity.
You don't have to explain it. We all know what you believe. You're just wasting your breath
Yeah.
right now. So I want to know the argument that would land somebody to believe that your God is real as opposed to a violent psychopathic pedophile.
I didn't understand your question properly.
Yeah, I would have hearing
And
problems right now
Can you
too.
repeat?
What's your
Yeah,
best
we-
argument that your God exists? That's all we're
It's-
asking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, my so one I told this entropy, and the second
No,
is the
we want the
laws of
argument.
nature.
We want the argument for Allah.
Yeah, to exist, that he exists. And the first main thing is that he will never come in our mind because of based on the facts or these things, because he's out of this space and time. So
Great.
so
there's
that's
no
why he
there's
sent
no evidence that your God
prophets.
is real then.
Because and you evidence is
He's
that
literally incapable of saying yes or no.
I don't.
yeah,
I didn't even
cannot,
understand
explain
that.
it.
He'll never come into our mind because he's.
Out of he is bigger than this. He's
That's
much bigger than
unfortunate.
our small minds.
I can't believe this God is all loving. Jesus at least says he'll come inside of you. This God that won't even at least give you a reach around. I have no reason to believe that he cares.
And won't buy you dinner or anything.
Yeah, hell, that's crazy. At least Jesus gives you dinner. You get wine and bread.
Unlimited fish.
See? Does Muhammad
what
have
to say, but-
abs?
Abs? What do you mean abs?
Because Jesus is ripped. You ever see Jesus on the cross? He's got like rock hard abs. He's got a 6-pack of Dougs.
No,
Six-pack of dogs. Yeah, those
I would
being
just
crucified
like to
is
ask
good
the one
isometric
thing from
exercise.
you, because you ask for the evidence for the God to exist. Do you have the opposite? Do you have the evidence that he doesn't exist?
Do you have evidence that the tooth fairy doesn't exist? But also the answer to your question
That
is yes,
God
we do
doesn't
have.
exist.
We have evidence that your specific God doesn't exist. Yeah.
No, the God doesn't exist.
Yeah,
What
because
what
we have
evidence do you
evidence
have?
that your specific God doesn't exist. Because in the Quran it says that if there can be like one contradiction or one wrong thing found in the Quran, then the whole thing should be thrown away.
So there is nothing wrong in the Quran. What do you think? What
Yeah.
specific?
Where does semen come from?
MashaAllah.
Siemens.
Yeah.
Also,
Sperm.
sperms come from men or
Yeah. What part of the body?
MashaAllah. Barakallah feek.
I don't know.
Have you
I'm
read
not
the
a
Quran?
biologist here. Not
Have you been to school?
thoroughly.
Comes from the balls, dude.
Yeah. You ever heard of testicles?
Yeah, maybe, but it has nothing to do
Maybe.
with the Quran.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
we're getting there.
Testicles aren't mentioned in the Quran, which is the problem because it says that the semen that creates human beings comes from between the ribs and the backbone.
Where it is mentioned, can you?
That is insane. Like, it's a very, very popular chapter. It's literally half a page long.
Yeah, I'll
It
put
is
it on
very
the
popular.
screen.
How would you not know this?
Give me a second to put it on the screen. Make sure he can see it.
Like, it is Ramadan, bro. Just read your Quran.
Yep. Says stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage. I should have grabbed the prior passage as well. Give me a second to grab the prior passage.
In the backbone and the rib cage.
There
It
we
is
go.
from 5 to 6. That would
Yeah.
be better.
Oh,
5 through 6.
I can definitely grab 5 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Because 5 necessitates that it has to be the liquid that man is made from.
Yep. Let people consider what they are created from. They were created from a spurting fluid stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage. But that's not where sperm comes from. So,
Okay, I need to check it in detail, but
I believe you.
but
What more do you need?
I need to check this. Read this again.
I can read it again for you. Yeah. It says, let people
No,
then
I mean-
consider what they were created from. They were created from a spurting fluid stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage. That's the spurting fluid is, what, when
Okay.
In America, they
Okay,
call it
I will-
skeet.
Okay. I need to go now. Thank you for your time. I will
you.
check it now. And then maybe we talk again.
All right, it's good talking to you, time traveler.
you.
Take care.
Thank you. Ciao.
You know what? There were two middle school dances really. And I wouldn't say traumatized me, but I learned later how absolutely horrendous it was, because when I was a middle schooler and they would play "Yeah" by Usher and Lil Jon and Ludacris, and they say "skeet" in that song about 300 times, and we had no idea what that meant. And then I grew up and I learned what that meant. And I was like, wait a minute, we said that at middle school dances over and over and
In
over
public.
again. And if that wasn't bad enough, Cotton-Eyed Joe. Does anybody know what Cotton-Eyed Joe means, or what the
no.
words actually are?
I don't even.
It's so incredibly bad.
Can we
So
say it on
Cotton-Eyed
TikTok?
Joe. Yeah. Well, I'll make it. I'll make it roughly appropriate. But Cotton-Eyed Joe is a description of, it's either gonorrhea or syphilis.
Oh, fuck.
So the lyrics to the song are, if it hadn't been for Cotton-Eyed Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton-Eyed Joe? Because the symptoms come and go. And what's a Cotton-Eyed Joe? Well, cotton is like spit. It's the color of spit, which is the color of pus. And the I and the Joe, I think we can put that all together. That's what we were we would hook arms and spin in circles going, and sing that song as middle schoolers. And that's what we were talking about. And nobody knew. Like the idea that...
I feel like we need to do a new revised standard edition of Cotton-Eye Joe in the modern tongue. I'm willing to. I'll call on the holy provisions of Doug to do an updated song of that hymn.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not making... Somebody just said the beat slaps, though. It does. That's the problem.